I ordered this like $300 like Osprey backpack online. I packed like a couple tank tops, shorts, my like skincare products, the things you pack, but very, very minimalistic because I'm carrying it on my back. And yeah, I just like showed up to Thailand. I was by myself. It was such a cool experience. I met so many different people. When I first left was when I like officially found out that my ex like had another girlfriend. I was so sad, but like those 3 months, because I was like on the other side of the world, I was forced to deal with it like really on my own and with God. Honestly, Jesus became my best friend ever. And I was just constantly in my word and praying and healing and crying, and like at the same time, although it was like really painful, I still was doing all these really fun things. Like I went scuba diving and I went skydiving and I went like hiking and just all these different really cool experiences. I went to Thailand and the Philippines and Indonesia and Japan and like a bunch of different places in those countries. And I ended up meeting a girl, and we traveled together for like 2 months in that time. And I really felt myself healing. And a big part of what was like hurting me so much was that I was comparing myself to like this new girl that he was with and thinking I wasn't good enough, and I was scared that he was going to like marry her, and I felt like so small. But when I started doing all of these things for myself again, I started like developing my identity in Christ, but also like who he's created me to be. And when I finally felt confident in who I was, it really changed like the pain that I was going through within the breakup. Like if you think you're not good enough, you're gonna see all the things like you're lacking that you think, oh, someone else has that you don't. But it just really shows you, like when you really know who you are, you just see yourself as different, and no one is better than the other person. And when I was finally confident in like who I was, I didn't need him choosing me to be the approval that I needed to show that I'm like worthy of love. And once that healed in me, like something just like switched. And I just started like becoming the person that I definitely lost. And I ended in love and not realizing that I really was like losing myself in this relationship and like putting him above my own needs. And I feel like that happens if you're in a space where you, well, one, are young and you're growing and you're trying to help like the other person. Like you should be pouring into the other person in a relationship, but not if you're like pouring from an empty cup. So anyways, yeah, the 3 month backpacking, and then I decided that, okay, my parents actually, so I wanted to go to the Gold Coast, but my parents were in Sydney and I really wanted to see them because I hadn't seen them in 3 months. So I like flew from the Philippines to Sydney. I said goodbye to my friend that I was traveling with, and I met my parents, and they were there for like 3 days. And at this point I was just like so over traveling and living out of a backpack. So I was like, you know what, I'm here, I have the visa, but I honestly just want to go home. Like I just can't like do this like backpacking life anymore. I just wanted to like have my own bed and a place to put all my things. I was just so over it. So I remember calling like my sister and I was telling her I really want to go home, but like her and her husband were encouraging me, like, you're ready there, like you've always said you wanted to live in Australia for a bit, like you should at least like try. And I was like, I have like no money left from traveling, like I don't want to be in hostels anymore. I don't want to like apply for jobs. And if you know, like applying for jobs is such a long process, like making cover letters and resumes and going to interviews. I also had like no clothes, and I arrived in Sydney when it was getting closer, when it was like getting closer to winter. So I like needed all of these things, and I was just like, honestly, God, like if you want me here, I need to, one, find a place to live easily, and I'm not living anywhere nasty. Like it's just like I literally cringe so hard if a place is like gross with like crumbs and stuff. Like I just can't do it. Like I generally will have nightmares. Like I can't. So that was like a criteria. I'm like, God, like you know me, like you know that I need somewhere clean. I need a job. That's it. Somewhere to live and a job. I need my basic necessities. Anyways, so I ended up going to a church, which was called Glow at the time, and the service So I thought the service started at 5, but the service started at 5:30. So I'm like about to walk into this service and I go around like, oh my gosh, it looks like really empty in there. Like, oh, like I was wanting to just go in quickly and run out. But I was like, okay, Anya, like maybe you're just like a little bit early. So I'm like, be confident, be confident. It's like, you know what, Anya, just like walk in this church right now and just smile and like be confident. So I was going in and I walked like past people in the foyer and I was just like right into the auditorium, like maybe the service actually has started and I'm just late or earlier. I don't know what's happening. But I went in and there were like 2 girls there. I ended up, because I was early, so I had to like, I was forced to talk to people, and the 2 girls were really sweet. They were like showing me around, introducing me to people. I was there for like their team huddle where like everyone from church that's serving that day to help like run the service is all there. So I'm just like surrounded by all these new people, but it was such like a sweet and like loving environment. Everyone was so welcoming. And then I went to the service. That was nice, had people to sit with, like everyone was so friendly. And then afterwards, when I was leaving, one of the girls I first met when I was there, she's like, oh, like, I want to introduce you to someone. She's another Canadian. You guys can, like, chat or whatever. So we chatted, and I was telling her that, yeah, like, I'm kind of considering living here, but I'm also really tired, and I just need to, like, I want to go to the Gold Coast and then go home. And she was like, and I also said, I'm like, and there's like no beaches in Sydney. Like I really want, like I don't see any beaches. And she's like, girl, like, what are you talking about? Like there's like a beach on every single corner. It's like, you know what? I'm going to show you around. Like when are you free next week or this week? And I'll like show you Sydney and I'll sell you on it. And like, I'll convince you to want to live here. So I was like, okay, like, sure. And then also that night, like they all like go out after service. So I met this like guy, they're going out for ice cream, and he was like telling me, oh, I should like go on like Christian flatmates to like find like someone to live with or whatever. And I was looking on like Facebook at the time, or like no, I was looking at flatmates, like this app. So I did what he said, and I was like, I had that in my mind to make sure that I check on like Christian flatmates. So I went out with this girl, beautiful soul. She showed me around. Like it really was telling me like Sydney just looks so beautiful. There was tons of beaches, and we went out for like dinner and everything, and it was really sweet. And then yeah, so I was like, you know what, I am going to try. At this time I was like in hostels, I was renting like Airbnbs. This is like in the course of a month, by the way, but I'm going to show you how everything gets settled. But at that time, that's what I was doing. I went on Christian flatmates. Out of all the places that were listed, I saw like one space that looked like I could live there. I'm like, you know what? This place looks clean and beautiful, and it was bright, and it looked new as well too. So I messaged this girl, and I'm like, hey, like, are you still looking for like applicants? And she was like, yeah, I am. We plan to meet.